love coming to you live and in living color. Mr. Kennedy is with me today, and y'all know me. I carry it on my sleeve and on the outside of my heart, and it just keeps getting ripped and shredded a little bit, a lot more every single day. How many of our children and our future do we have to watch being slaughtered due to gun violence? We just had yet another. Wait, hold on. Let me.
Yes, we had another mass shooting just yesterday, and the fact that it continues to happen, and it's like we're more numb to it than we are offended.
And I can't be numb. I can't be numb. It's the same as a child getting shot in the back because they thought the police officers thought they had a gun. These kids keep coming into these schools, having access to these murderous weapons. A man in the military, one of the guys said, the only reason why you have AK-47s and MR-50s or whatever it is to kill. They are not for people to have in their homes. So what are we missing? What are we missing, Mr. Kennedy? What are we missing?
Okay, we're not actually missing anything.
We're missing something that these kids can keep getting access to these guns. And they go to schools and they're killing up each other.
Okay, when I say we're not missing
I can do it.
Okay, what I'm saying when I say we're not missing anything, we know what's right in front of us. We know that we promote gun violence constantly. So, and one breath to say we don't know why it's happening.
I got a right to bear arms. That was before we had a standing militia. We got military. We got the police department. We got the Coast Guard. What? Oh, it's something. Okay, just calm down.
Okay, that's what I'm saying about when you say what are we missing? We're not missing. We're choosing not to take action. We do know what's happening. And anybody who try to pretend like, oh, we really don't understand what's going on, you're not being honest. We do know what's going on. And the fact that we're choosing not to, we're choosing not to. Oh, I was just picking up on another channel as well. That's all. There's nothing wrong.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with the horizontal or the vertical. But the fact that
we're
not missing
into the twilight zone, because this is just some crazy stuff. I mean, like it just never stops. And just when we think we can have, just a little bit of joy, just a little bit of us loving each other, loving on each other, and then we get this.
But when we get this,
he's 14 years old. He got a gun. He got an assault weapon.
Okay, but then again, when they say look back at what happened, how did he obtain this weapon? He obtained this weapon because it was in his home. It wasn't like he went out and bought this. That he got it from a friend. He got it from out of his parents' house because they had guns.
So is that what we're missing? Is that what we're missing? Because when you think about these mass shootings, and how young they are, they just babies. They getting filled up with so much hate and anger and angst, and that hate is taught just like love is taught, and they're teaching their children, oh, you gotta hate this one, or you gotta hate that one, for what? You don't even know these people, and you would get a gun. You would have a gun in your house with your children, and you don't have the gun locked up. It's rules and regulations to this. I grew up with guns. My mother carried a loaded 38 pistol in her purse every day because she was a widow woman with 6 kids, and she said, I gotta be able to protect myself to protect y'all. We had a shotgun at the back of the door. A double-barrel shotgun, and me and my sister, we had to shoot it together because a man was trying to break into our house. And she said, that's the only time when they're coming in, you got a right to defend yourself. And that was the only time, that's the only time in my life, in my entire, that I ever shot a gun. This was in our home, but they taught us gun safety. Parents and leaders teach gun safety. Children don't need to have access to a gun. I don't care. I'm teaching them how to hunt. I'm teaching them how to
but it's just wait a minute. Okay, but there's nothing wrong with teaching somebody how to hunt. I mean, you see, we try to mix, you put everything into
Apples and
one
oranges.
basket. You know, when the fact that teaching somebody how to shoot is not teaching them to go out there and be a
And
mass
kill
murderer either.
somebody.
Okay, well, that's not what you're teaching somebody. So part of this is that when we look at reality, no, we're not trying to teach people how to be mass murderers or to go out here and commit crimes. The failure is that look at what you're allowing your child to watch, what you're watching, and your child is watching with you. If you watch
If you're even
it,
even if you're even watching it, because a lot of parents in this day and age will just sit their kids down in front of a computer, give them a tablet, give them some headphones, or get them a cell phone, and they just tune out and out of the real world, or out of what when you take those off, what you have to go out here and
I
deal
mean,
with
but that's part of
how you
reality.
gotta be, how you gotta act. It's a certain code of ethics, and we just threw it. Seemed like all the way out the door. I couldn't even imagine.
Well, no, wait a minute.
Wait.
Codex is not
Okay,
totally
wait.
thrown out
Okay,
the door. It's not okay, mother love. You think about this.
okay. And I said I could do it. I can't do it.
Okay, well, that's why I'm trying to talk. Why you have a chance, because
To listen.
this is part of what we have to, as a society. We're quick to blame others instead of looking in the mirror. When we start talking about blaming somebody, we look at the culture that we've established in this country. We've established one that we want to have movies and TV shows and all these different
Media
things.
and the radio
No,
and
no,
music.
but we and talking about violence, being violent. Okay, if you talk about it, and now you have to admit this. For as much as we talk about violence, to show violence, and violence is acted out. Everybody does not commit violence and out there being violent. So yes, I mean the sad part about it is that you will have that less than 1% or 1% will actually act out what they're watching and what they're seeing on TV and listening to in music. So
Do
the
you,
majority of us,
do you
but the
think
majority of us will not do that. The majority of us will not.
looking at this, and these kids are looking at an AI, artificial intelligence, and these video games, and you could just speak into it and just sit there, and that's all that you're consumed with. You're sitting in a room with the door locked, you sit in the basement at your mama, your grandmama's house, or your auntie's house, and you're isolated from the world, and this is your world right here. You don't get to
Okay, but
understand
then
what it
once
means
again,
to interact humanly with each other, for them to
okay,
act
but think
humanly
about that.
with you.
Okay, think about what you just said. When you said you're sitting in your mama's house, your daddy's house, your grandmother's house, and you're watching violence. Okay, if your parents are not paying any attention to you at all, I mean, that still comes back to the parents that they're not paying you any attention. No, I mean, yes, no, we cannot pretend as though TV, radio, and these things are designed to be the babysitter for us growing up as kids, because our parents, you're trying to work. So I don't want to pretend like I'm trying to say, oh, you're working an 8-hour shift, but you're gonna come home and you're gonna spend from the moment you get home till they go to sleep, actually teaching them or trying to guide them. All the time, most of us do not have that time or that ability to
But
sit back and say, I'm going.
doesn't that come with the responsibility of being responsible parents and guardians? Because
Well, most
as
of us
adults,
are.
we ought to know better.
Most of us
We're there
are.
to guide and direct them. We're there to show them
But
the
are most of
experience.
us, but are most of us responsible though? What I'm saying, if you look at the actual bigger picture, yes, it's horrible when any of these incidents happen. But the bigger picture, if we stop and take a
What
moment to
could be a
pause.
bigger picture than your child going to school and getting murdered? What could be a bigger
Okay,
picture than your child going to school with an assault rifle and murdering people, just
okay.
cutting
Once
them
again,
down because of what? What we
okay.
got
Well, that's what we trying to.
this
That's
can't
what I'm
keep
trying to just.
happening.
That's what I'm trying to talk about. When you say what, I mean, if all we are, we're not upset enough to say we want to change what we're watching on TV. We don't want to change and say what we're watching in the movies. We don't want to stop and change what we listen to in music. If you keep pushing out more and more hatred and violence, and then you expect women, you only know that this is a very small percentage that actually commits violence, even though we see so much more. Because when we were growing up as kids, you didn't have all, you couldn't see all this violence because, for one, the TV went off at 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning in a lot of places. Some places even sooner. The TV went off, so you weren't even watching TV at all, and that was the main
And
means
not
of
in the middle of the
communication.
night. That was for sure. And we had
Okay,
parameters. We had parameters. When we were growing up, we had 3, maybe 5. Well, I remember having 3, and then we got the
3
UHF
channels.
and
It
the
was just
VH.
3 channels, and then
Yeah,
they eventually started adding
and
more.
they
But
started adding a scabillion, and a lot of it is just a bunch of white noise. You know, it
okay, but
doesn't. It's not
even with
serving
that,
us as a community. It's not serving us as
okay, but
people.
it does to women. Women. Now you watch women. You watch many of movies with gangsters are involved in these, and they're looked at as being good guys, even though they're destroying the community that they live in or somebody else's community with the products that they're selling. So it's not that we don't glamorize this, that we don't put people on this pedestal that do the wrong things. Now that's part of the problem. We continue to do that and then keep saying we don't want these horrible things to happen. I mean, it's amazing that with all that we push on society with violence, showing people how to be thieves, how to be crooks, all these
How
negative
to
things
steal,
that
how
we
to
don't have
steal, how
more.
to murder, how to kill, how to cheat on your mate. You got all this stuff that's going on, and we think this is going to help us be better. This is going to help us create a better generation to give them. They supposed to be smarter and more adept
We are
than we
smarter. We
are.
choose not to
They
be.
standing on our.
Okay, but
They
we are
standing.
smarter. We are smarter. I mean, to try to say we're not smarter. See,
We're
that's
not.
using to me
We still
as
keep
an
doing
scapegoat.
ass
We
backwards
are
stuff
smarter. We
though.
are smarter. Women,
How?
we are smarter, but we
How
choose
are we
not to
smart?
do the women. We are smarter because we've invented all kind of things to entertain ourselves with, to advance our society, that we live longer. So to say that we're not doing anything, we are doing 2 things at one time. We're doing positive things and we're doing negative things. We have to have the will to want to do more positive things than negative. So to say that, okay, well, why is this happening? It's because that 1%, less than 1% of 1%, actually goes out and commits these things. We have the largest prison population in the
In the
world.
world of a free
So
nation.
what are we
Because
doing?
it's a
What are we
business.
doing as a society? What are we doing as Americans when this is what we're promoting, and we're telling everybody that we're the best of the best? But then when they're looking at us, are we showing the best of the best?
Not now.
You know, we
And we're
can't, but
working,
we
we're
have to be
working
willing
to
to
do
change.
that.
But we have to be willing to change. It's not
Yeah.
that it cannot happen, because it can happen. Just like you go out and you show violence, like you tell me so often. If it bleeds, it
Please
leads on the news. Okay, for as much as we show the negative things that are happening, we can show as many positive things as well. We can show good people doing good things to other people. If we wanted to do more of that, I mean, you stop and look at it. Most of the nightly news now that you watch on the 3 major networks, the nightly news, and with most of the time with not most of the time, all the time now, with something positive.
And with a
They
good
end
luck
the
story. But we
broadcast
can't
with
leave with a
something
good luck
positive.
story because we're so busy tearing stuff up. I mean, we got wars going on around the country. We all at war with ourselves as a nation when we got so divisive, over just, oh, well, I don't like you, or I'm not doing this. We have a political system set up so that we the people have a right. That's what we have a constitution for. And that's for all of us. And we still ain't got that right. They keep saying, and we take it for granted. We really do. We take democracy for granted. We act like, oh, this is supposed to be what we know better and we can do whatever we want to because we're Americans. We got a democracy. We can say who is going to be there to represent us. And then you put in these crooks and these criminals and you put in these idolatrous people and you say, oh, no, well, that's all right. That's how politics works. Okay. And we, the people, have the power
But
to
it is,
change it. What are
it
we
is how
missing?
politics work,
What
and
are
we
we
can't
missing?
women, and we can change it. It's not that we cannot
I think
change
I'm
it.
just getting
It-
madder
it's-
every time I talk. I think I'm just getting.
okay, but that's what I'm telling you.
Wait,
Okay, and we have to be part of the solution, and the only way to be part of the solution
Be the
is
change you
talking.
want to see.
It's about changing and talking about the issues that plague us. If we don't talk about them, we kind of we pin like that. We sweeping them under the rug. We know that we all
Up
know
under the
by
rug,
now.
up under the floor, up under the floorboards, up under the house. They want
I
to
mean,
act
but
like it doesn't exist.
okay,
And
but
if we just turn our
how many
head,
of us,
it'll get better.
okay, but how many of us do not know in this day and age now that if you have guns in your house and you have kids in your home, that the guns should be locked up? I mean, that's does not take brain surgery for somebody to think that this is probably what they should be doing if they have guns in the house
Wait,
and
sit back.
and
Wait,
you
excuse
have
me.
kids.
I don't mean to cut you off, but sit back a little bit because all I can see is your top lip
Oh,
moving.
well,
There you
I
go.
was well, I was,
Yeah.
but the point being is that we can change most of this stuff if we choose to change it. We don't have to show movies of people, bringing in tons and tons of coke and making millions of dollars and being big time. Okay, we're doing this to ourselves, and then keep trying to say, "Well, I'm gonna blame somebody else." I'm not looking in the mirror. Wait a minute. If you're looking at these negative shows that are showing these kind of things, you are promoting that whether you think you are or not. If you sit back and you and
It's
your kids
just
and y'all,
entertainment. We don't think of it as being real.
everything
But
is not
these kids are
entertainment,
looking at these video games and playing these video games, and then they
and
want
it
to go
is
out and
entertainment.
reenact them.
Okay, but wait a minute. Less than 1% of 1% go out and reenact that though. So you got to keep that. See, we're focusing on that less than 1%. Saying, okay, look at what they're doing. When the vast majority of us is not doing that, even though we're looking at the exact same thing that they're looking at. A lot of us look at the exact same thing these other kids are looking
And
at,
we see
but
it
we don't go out
different.
and act on it.
And
But we don't go out and act on
we see it
it. So that
differently.
comes down. So I'm saying, just like if by now there shouldn't be any parents in America or anywhere on this planet that have a gun that does not have it locked up so their kids can just accidentally get to it. We are curious people by nature. We would not have achieved all that we've achieved as a society if we were not curious. So I'm not saying take the curiosity out. I'm saying that we can better handle this, us being curious.
So
Saying,
do you think it's better if parents and people that have guns in their homes, do you think it's better that they don't tell the kids that they have a gun in the house, or that they do tell the kids
okay,
they got a gun in the house and they got it locked up and they got the bullets safely away from each other? I mean, I was watching this program, and okay, just for the sake of the conversation, it's two brothers. One of them is, I'm going to say maybe he's 13, 14 years old, just a teenager. And his little brother is maybe 8 or 9. And the older brother knows where the gun is kept, knows the combination to the safe to get the gun out, knows where the bullets are, So one of the 14-year-old, he was in there playing with the gun, and his little brother was like, and he loaded the gun. Showed his little brother how to load the gun, picked up the gun, and was doing whatever they do with guns. And the little brother said, "Well, let me hold it. And he says, No, you're too young. Dad'll kill us both if he knows that we got this gun out. No. They got to tussling over the gun, and a younger boy shot his other brother dead.
A horrible accident.
That wasn't no accident.
Yes, it was. Okay, it was accident. Wait a minute. The younger brother
he
did not mean
accidentally knew where the gun was. He accidentally knew where the bullets were. He accidentally knew to show it to his brother. He knew something was wrong.
Okay, and so he accidentally meant for his brother to shoot him dead. No, he did not. So no, none of that was planned. Okay, once again, when I talk about curiosity, as being young and being curious, okay, that's a part of being young and being curious. Okay, on the parents. Once again, on the parents. If you didn't showed your older son where the gun is, what the combination to the safe is. Wait a minute, you felt that particular son was responsible enough that he would not be going in there getting that gun out. The fact that he went and got it out anyway, okay, that's a lack of judgment on your part because you thought that your son was far more mature than he was. That still come back to the parents.
Let me ask you this:
not knowing that their son was not that mature.
Wait, hold on. In that vein, when you said the father thought his son was mature enough,
yes.
Okay, just going with that one, because the law is at 18 years old you're considered an adult. Now I don't know what make them think that kids' minds go from like 17, 18. No, I'll say 16, 17, 18. In those 3 years, those 2 years, from the time they're 16, they're 17, and they're 18, and now they're 18, they know everything that an adult is supposed to know. They don't know crap from apple butter. They're 18 years old. Okay, see, and teens go to you 19, go from 13 to 19. Then after you that 19, then you get 20, 21, they consider you a full-grown adult. But you're at 18 years old, you could go sign up for the military. Military teach you how to become a trained assassin, teach you how to do all kind of great things, but they teach you about guns and what have you at 18. At 18, you feeling good because you say, well, I'm 18, I'm grown, I can do whatever I want to do. And I don't have to suffer the consequences, because at 18,
that's not the case.
They don't believe that they have consequences, because when you're still a teenager, hell, by the time you're 25, I thought I could still fly. I thought,
but I have a question.
I thought I could put my mama's sheet around my neck, jump off that roof, and fly around the neighborhood. Okay,
but how many times did you try that?
I only tried it once.
Okay. And then you found out you really couldn't fly. Okay, so you found out when you tried it that one time that you couldn't fly. What I'm saying is that, but part of this is that we're trying to act as though, okay, if you put an age limit, it's okay, once you turn 18, you can do this. Once you turn 21, you can do that. Yes, we need age limits, because no, you shouldn't give people access to everything at a young age and say, well, you're mature enough to be able to handle it.
Just because you're 18. Hell, I know 45-year-old people that are not mature enough to have a weapon.
Okay, but realistically, the majority of us are not going out there and shooting up somebody else. We're not going out there committing crimes. We're not going out there doing bank robberies. We're not going out there becoming big time drug dealers because we think that that's a glamorous, thing to do. So no, the majority of us will not do that. But you do have that 1% that does. And the fact that I'm saying,
majority of us will feed into that. Well,
feeding into it and acting on it is two different things. Feeding into it and acting on it are two different things. Because if everybody that watch, burglaries or bank robberies, all of us are going out trying to rob a bank. Will we have banks? If everybody started thinking that was something cool to do, the majority of us still know better. Yes, we watch bank robberies in movies and the movies on TV. In real life, but that does not make you as an individual say, well, now I saw them try to rob a bank, so I'm going to try to do it. The majority of us will never do that. So we talk about an issue that is an issue in this country, but it can be dealt with if we wanted to.
Your face. Okay, there you go.
Okay, we could deal with it if we wanted to, but we're choosing not to deal with it properly.
We're
choosing that.
Why do you think that gun owners and a lot of people think that, having a gun in their home, I get it. You got a right to defend yourself. It's kill or be killed, and you got a right to protect yourself. I absolutely get that. I don't understand why people feel like, well, I got a gun and I don't like them. Like the guy that went to, was in Las Vegas. He shot and killed all them people.
Yes.
For
okay,
what?
Once again.
And, I was reading this article that said even the Secret Service and the CIA and other law enforcement agencies are trying, once stuff like this happens, they want to know, where is the why? What was the reason why you decided to go up into this hotel, bring all these weapons, stand out here and just hunt people down, and you don't even know these people? You just that angry. That anger came from someplace that he didn't just, that came from someplace, and he felt like this was going to be his retribution. I'm going to kill as many people as I can. And the one thing they said about the kid, this kid is 14 years old. I got shoes older than him.
Okay, but
they want to know this is apparently, they're saying that this is one of the times from a school shooting that the killer was actually apprehended, because usually they kill themselves or the police kill them.
Right. But once again.
But what kind of why would a 14-year-old boy have that
Okay,
would be so tight in his mind that he feels
okay,
like,
but once
I'm gonna
again,
get
though,
a
it's not all
gun.
14-year-old.
Wait a minute, let me finish. I'm gonna get a gun and I'm gonna go to
Okay,
my school and I'm gonna shoot my teachers and I'm gonna shoot my fellow
but once
students.
again,
And
though,
that's gonna
that
be
is
all
not all
right.
14-year-old boys, though. Wait a minute, that's not all 14-year-old boys, and it's
I'm
not
just
all right.
saying.
Okay, wait, but you
I'm
said,
not
and it's all
putting it
right.
on all
Okay,
of them. I'm talking about
okay,
that one.
okay, you're right. We have to say that one because see, if we don't distinguish
That's what I
between
said. That
that
one.
one,
The boy who
that
was a
one,
student.
and all of us,
I was
and
very
all of us,
clear about that.
because all 14-year-old young men are not going out there trying to shoot up their school.
The more,
You know,
I
okay,
get that.
so once again,
I get that. So what do we do to help other 14-year-old and other kids who might be thinking that? You know,
okay, I'm
every
trying
time
to give a
it's one.
suggestion.
I mean, every time it's
I'm
one.
trying to give a suggestion. I'm giving a suggestion. Wait, instead of just simply saying
Okay,
what he
I'm
did.
calming
Okay,
down.
suggestion.
Let me drink my.
Okay,
let me
part
drink
of
the juice.
the solution is that you as the parent, wait a minute, you have to be responsible as that parent. You know, stop trying to blame everybody else, put it off on society and all this. You as the parent, if you have a gun in your home and you know that you have kids in your home, you're responsible. Instead of trying to blame it on society and everybody else and say, well, I don't know how he got this way. Well, it's still your fault because you're the parent and you allowed your child to have access to that gun without you really knowing how your son or your daughter was thinking. If you don't want to stop and pay attention to them, that's your lack of parental guidance. You know, not society, you know, not having no control. You as an individual, but we try to put it on society and say, oh, well, it's society's fault. Wait a minute. Society's fault is that we may have too many movies out here of violence. That's society. That's a societal issue. But you as a parent, if you have a gun in your home in this day and age with all the mass shootings that have happened, and you're still not locking your gun up, you're still not paying attention to what your young child is looking at or listening to when they're on the internet, when they're on Facebook, when they're on Twitter, or any instrument that they're looking at. If they're looking at violence and they want to have violent tendencies, most of you do know that as their parent. You choose not to want to know most of the time because we love our kids to a fault. We don't want to sit back and say, well, look, I noticed that little Johnny is going to the dark side with some of the things he's looking at, or the people he's hanging around are some pretty shady looking characters. That's not the majority of us. That's a minor group. So to say that if we don't talk to the parents more and say, well, look, if you have a gun in your house, if you're teaching your gun about guns, which is nothing wrong with teaching your son about guns, because you want to teach them how to be, or daughters, about to be responsible, how to shoot a gun, how to defend themselves. But that's not telling your son or your daughter, I want you to go out here and murder people because I've taught you how to use a gun. We do know our kids far better than we want to admit. It's like you said on a lot of occasions.
Now, see, what I think is just the opposite of that is the fact that parents, a lot of them don't know their children that well. They, put them in front of a computer.
That's on the parents.
Let me finish. They put them in front of a computer, give them a cell phone, let them do whatever it is, but don't be bothered with me. Don't bother me because I'm over here on my computer and on my cell phone. The first 5 years of a child's life are critical for them learning, for them growing, for them understanding, and you build on that foundation when they're little kids. You don't try to raise. You shouldn't be trying to raise your child when they're 15 because they don't know anything, and you don't know anything. You got to start from the beginning. You got to start from the beginning. If that's not, because it's a huge responsibility being parents, being guardians, to make sure that these little people, because they little people, they got feelings, they got thoughts. Our position and our job is to show them what is right and what is true. But that is what I said. And we don't do that. We sit them in front of the TV. My mother used to call it the idiot box. When we were growing up, we had one TV in the house and you had one telephone. Well, we actually had two telephones. We had one in the kitchen that had that real giant, long, curly thing that we stretched out to no end. And you had that. And my mother had a princess phone in her bedroom. That was the two phones that we had. And one TV. So our television television and our entertainment was monitored. You couldn't watch this program, you could watch that program. You're not going to do this, because that's when you start teaching your kids about morals and, being able to make the smart and right decisions for them. And when you just ignore that, because your kids get on your nerve, and kids can't get on your nerve. I tell you all of this all the time. Teenagers make you understand why some species eat their young.
Well, I don't
teenagers
believe,
think
I
they
don't
know
believe in that.
everything, and
Because
they don't
that's trying
know
to say the
anything.
majority. You
Wait a
trying to say
minute,
most
are
of
you
us
gonna
are
let me
bad.
finish?
But you said most of us are bad, and we're not.
I didn't say most of us are bad. The majority of us are good people. I said I agree with you with that. I'm talking about bad parenting. Because there's a way to do it, and everybody's way is not the same way. Everybody is different, and
and I
the
agree with that
dynamics are different in your
100%.
home. There are some families that probably would never have a gun in their house under any circumstances. People worship differently, so me talking with my Jewish friends and me talking with my Christian friends, the conversation is going to be different. They got a right to feel like that. They got a right to worship like they want to worship, but we're not allowing ourselves to get so involved with our children that they trust what we're saying. I couldn't even imagine.
Okay, but then
being
that
in my
means
mother's house. Wait a minute, being in my mother's house, and I could shut the door and lock it. You weren't having no locked doors. We didn't have locked doors in our house. We did not. We won't go. What you mean you won't shut the door? No. That's not it. You're not gonna close the door in here. Only time you get to close the door to your bedroom, that's where you paying rent. That's where you paying your house note. We are not giving our children enough parameters, and the village is just falling apart. And we got to get the village back together. We have to. This is about our survival as human beings. This is about our survival as a society.
Okay, but once again, though, it's not all of society. See, it's like we're condemning everybody, and everybody.
I'm not condemning everybody. I'm condemning what's happening now. Like you said, the majority, the 99.9% of us would never ever go out and follow through with that. If everybody would follow through with the thought that they had, I could just kill my wife.
Okay,
I could poison my husband. I could just run over my boss because I can't stand the boss. If all of us thought about that and acted on it, we thought about it. We don't act on it.
Okay, wait a minute. We all think. Wait a minute. Most of us have those same thoughts. We just don't act on. If you say, what are some of the solutions? Okay, wait a minute.
I say that.
And I said that is the case with most of us. What I'm saying, part of this is that we take the time. If you have a gun in your house, if you as a parent are not taking the time to educate your kids about having this gun in the house, that's on you. That's not on society. That's on you in particular. So we try to make it society's problem, as if to say, well, I'm trying to say everybody's doing this. Everybody's not doing it. That's what I keep repeating. Everybody's not doing that. Everybody's not going out there because they have a gun in their house and go out there and want to go to school and shoot somebody. You have to know your child. And I talk to you all the time about we need to teach morals and scruples in school. You told me that should be taught at home. I'm saying, okay, if we look at society and we say
that's what I'm talking about. The village breaking down. It starts at home, then it goes to school.
I'm saying build it back up. I'm saying build it back up again. There are things that we can do, just like we quote unquote, when you see news and they tell you, okay, the flu season is coming. Okay, when they tell you that the flu season is about to start, they tell you to go out and get a flu shot. They're doing that. They're telling that to everybody. They're not telling it to one person in particular. They're telling it to the general population that the season is about to start. These are something you should do. If we as a society, if we had our newscasters come on here and say it on a regular basis, make sure you lock your guns up. If you're a parent, be aware of what your kids are listening to or watching on TV. If we were saying this as a group more often, there's less than 1% or 1% who's out here committing these crimes would be even smaller. We're the ones who are lacking on not doing this. And then we say, well, look at the consequences. Yes, I'm looking at the consequences of what a small group of people are doing, because it's not all of us. It's only a small group that is doing this. And we need to stop and take the time to get to know that it's only a small group. And if we need to change some of the things that are happening, things will not be even as bad as they are. If you have a gun, you should have it locked up. You know that you should be teaching your son or your daughter about gun safety. You should be paying attention to your sons and daughters when they're little. If they're talking about, if they're only watching negative shows, if everything is negative in their life, but then that should be a red flag to you as their parent. If they're only looking at negative things, what do you think they're headed to? If all they see is negativity.
And that you're, as a parent, as the guardian, you're sanctioning that because you're not stopping to look at what they're doing, think of talking to them about what their thoughts are. You know, the villages have been fragmented and have been so,
and we can put them back together.
Families are being destroyed, you know, and see, and now, you know, they keep saying, oh, you know, families designed differently, you know, nowadays. Family is family. You got a matriarch, you can have a matriarch, a patriarch, and the siblings. You know, and nowadays you can have a matriarch and the siblings. Parenting is parenting. And
if
when
you
you're
don't
not
do it,
doing it well, we get these kinds of situations.
Okay. But the majority of us do know better.
I remember when Columbine happened.
Yes.
And
the uproar that came from that.
The parents said, well, we didn't know what they were doing. They would go down in their room and they would lock themselves away, and we might not have heard from them for hours. What?
Well,
how do you not know what's going on?
Okay, but
then
when
I was growing up, parents and all their friends and all their cousins and all their sisters and brothers, they knew all of your business. You did not have any business as a kid growing up when you got a village surrounding you, because everybody wanted to know what the deal was. How can we help? You know, what can we do to curtail this negative environment for you? Because when after a while you want to get away from your parents so they don't see you and have your own friends. You want to go this way and that way, and then you come back and you stuck on stupid. Okay, so then you got to figure out as a parent, now where you get that stupid from? You know, all that when birds of a feather flock together. I didn't want to fly with them birds. I wanted to be.
Well, then once again, did your parents monitor who you're around, who you're spending time with? I mean, once again, yes, this is more of an individual thing than it is a community thing, because as a community, wait a minute, we talk all the time about the horrors, about crime, about violence, about the bad things that happen. So we do know this as a group. No, you as individuals, how much time are you taking with your child? I mean, I mean, for as much as I blame the parents for not paying attention to their son, if that was my son, I would want to hurt myself, because I could not believe that I raised somebody that would be willing, that would want to do something like this. You know, what was going on that I missed as a parent, that I didn't see this. You know, this will make me want to question my parental skills, and that I didn't catch this. That, you know, because it wasn't like the people next door son did this. It wasn't like the people down the street son did this. It was my son. So yes, I will make me want to stop and say, wait a minute, what am I doing wrong? What am I not taking the time to do? Or what am I not taking the time to pay attention to? Well, if my son was being more distant and not wanting to talk, did I just play it off and say, oh, but that's because he's a teen, that he don't want to be bothered, so I don't want to be bothered either? I mean, if you say because your son is a teenager now, well, I mean that's a teenager. Okay.
As much attention.
Well, then you chose not to pay attention.
And not
stop trying to put the blame on somebody else. You know, we have to care. I mean, when our son was growing up, I didn't step back and say, well, oh, he'll go off and do his own thing, and I'm not paying attention. No, you know. So, you know,
and I just always tell you this. I am just so grateful and enamored at the father that you have been to him, and to other kids, to other young boys who weren't growing up with their fathers in the home, that you took these young kids, these young guys up under your wing, and you let them know that you expected a certain level of
well, if nobody does it, then how do you expect it to happen?
Right.
You see, it's not about putting the blame to somebody else or saying, well, it's not my responsibility. You know, I cared about our son, and I cared about the people that he was around. And I had to sit back and say, well, okay, that's somebody else's son, so I could care less what they're doing. I know that if he's around our son, then he has a chance to influence that son. Just like any young ladies that are around your son or your daughter has a chance to influence them. So you have to know who these people are, so you know what kind of influence they're bringing into your home and into your child's life. If you're willing to just throw your hands up and say, I don't want to know, well then that's you saying you don't want to know. That's not, and then when something bad happens, then it's society saying, oh, well, it's a societal problem. Oh no, it's that parent. It's more that parent problem because that was their child. That was their responsibility. They chose not to step up to their responsibility. And we can blame everybody else on all the things, but how much do you honestly care about the person that you bring into this world? How much do you honestly, you yourself care? Not somebody else, not trying to put the blame on society to raise your child, not put this on your grandparents to raise your son or your daughter, that you care about the person that you brought into this world, on how well they grew up, what kind of person they become in society.
And just because you have a baby does not make you a parent. Parenting is a skill set. It's on
Well,
the
I
job
don't know.
training.
It makes you a parent. Whether you're a good one or not, no, that's another story.
That's
But it
what I'm
does make you a
saying.
parent. It makes you a parent
Yeah,
either way. If you
and
have a
it's
child,
good
you
or
became a
bad.
parent.
I mean,
Good or bad.
I've seen both sides of it. I've seen children be so awfully abused by their parents. They on
Yes.
drugs. The daddy's in prison.
Yes.
The mama, they don't know where she is. They go into the foster care system. That's a whole nother show right there. That's
Yes.
a whole week of shows, the foster care system. And there's good and bad in all of the things that we do. We just got to be
Right.
able to discern what is good and what is not good, not just for you and your family, but for the community and society as a whole. We are in this together. We all in this boat. We all on this ship together. And we keep acting like, well, I'm gonna stay over here in my cabin and I'll be up here in the captain's table and I'll just be up here under the where the heat and everything is coming from. But I don't have to be bothered with this because eventually they'll grow up and as soon as they turn 18, they got to get out of my house. That's what I don't know who came up with that one.
Well,
18.
First of all, okay,
I was in college at 18. I was in college at 18.
Okay, so you were grown enough. You were grown enough to go to college. So if you said, okay,
I didn't think I was grown enough to go to college. My mama said you got to go to college, and that let me know. That said to me, I was not yet an adult because I was not able to make my own finite decisions. When I got to that place of making my own finite decisions, that's where I was. That was my motivation. That was my motivation. School was always easy for me, and I was like, okay, I can make this work, and I can do whatever.
Okay, but then you're saying, wait a minute, you're saying at 18, wait a minute, because we have to set limits, or nobody. So how would you start holding people accountable if you said, okay, well, at 18 you're not really an adult yet, so then you don't be held accountable for anything that you do at 18. You don't.
I think you need to be held accountable for what you're doing from the time you can understand logic, when you can understand right from wrong, when you can understand good from bad, when you understand up from down, side to side, when you know north, south, east and west, and you know which directions that you're pointing in. That's when you start. Okay. That's when you start being accountable for your actions. And and children need repetitive behavior. Now we didn't get repetitive behavior.
Adults need repetitive.
You would get that butt tap. You get put on punishment.
All of us need, even as adults, we need repetitive behavior. Because, when you're in a regiment, when you're doing something, you are far more apt not to get in trouble. It's like that's why you encourage people to have a job, okay? Because you spend 8 hours on that job. If you slept 8 hours, that's 16 hours. Okay,
then you got only 8 more hours to just recap.
Okay, wait a minute. No, because the time that it takes you to get up and get ready for work, the time to get home from work. Okay, so that 8 hours that you would have that you consider free time is probably now only 6 or 5 hours. Okay, and in that 6 to 5 hours, what are you trying to accomplish during that time period? What are you actually trying to accomplish?
That's because we don't care ourselves. We want to get everything, have everything. What the movie was called, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that's not how life happens. It doesn't work like that. And we don't seem to have a lot of flexibility anymore. It's like, okay, this is how I think, and you need to think like I think. And because you don't think like I think, you're wrong. And you say to me, well, you don't think like I think, so you're wrong. Where do we get? We still standing in the same dumb spot, getting nothing done. We're not
Yes, that's
moving
true.
forward in progress.
Oh,
We're not
okay, but
moving forward for the betterment of ourselves, of our health, of our communities, of this, when you think about it, we just little bitty. Well, maybe we're not as minuscule as sand, the grains of sand, or in the hourglass on the beach, or the hourglass of the
okay.
sand on the beach. We are living organisms, and it is our responsibility to rise up to our responsibilities, to take care of, to nurture. Whether it's nurturing yourself, because a lot of mothers, you start having kids, you put yourself on the back burner. Oh, I could take care of that later. I don't have to worry about my foot swelling up because I've been standing up cooking so long. I don't worry about that. I'm having heart palpitation. I got to make sure my kids are all right. And then you drop dead from a heart attack, and everybody is like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe she was so young." Didn't pace herself. Didn't look out for her own health, and that is what we need to do. And we're talking about looking after our own health, our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health. And this kid and all these kids that's going through this, he
But
probably
see,
doesn't even understand the magnitude of his destruction. And he's 14, and they're saying
I
they're
don't
going to
know.
charge him
Okay,
as an adult.
okay, but wait a minute. You say don't understand the magnitude. First of all, you don't know what his father was saying to him, what he was saying to his father. What
Or if he was
shows
even in the picture.
No, his father wasn't, because they said the father went to his previous school the year before.
Oh, why? Because
when
he
was
got kicked
13.
out.
He left that school and went from that county and went to the next county over, where nobody knew him, because he was in this school system. Then he went over to the next county, to their school system. He was a quiet person.
So
Okay,
the father knew.
The father knew, and because the police came out to their house, so it wasn't like, even you say, well, I was busy working, so I really wasn't paying close enough attention to my son. The fact that when the police came to your home, though, and said, okay, this is what your son was posting on the internet, and because it was brought to our attention, we're bringing it to your attention now as the authority.
Obviously, you didn't know.
Or if you knew, you didn't care.
You didn't do anything about it.
So now that it's been brought to your attention, what he did do about it, he moved to the next county.
So he pretty much sanctioned, in that vein, he would have pretty much sanctioned his son's terrible behavior, and just said, okay, we'll go someplace where nobody knows us, and we'll just start over.
Well, that's what they did. But they didn't go far. Well, they didn't go far. They just went to the next county.
The next county.
Okay, so they did not go far. But the fact that the father didn't, when you got a warning, so so even if you take for granted to say, okay, the father didn't know what the son was doing before that, once the police came to their home and informed them about what as the messages that he was putting out on the internet, that was talking about having the school violence, because that's something now I'm pretty sure now, if you start typing this in on your computer, and sending it out on your email, these are things that are picked up, just like they'd be listening for terrorists to pick up things that they might say,
and other negative chatter on the web.
So they picked up that him talking negative about doing a school shooting, and so they sent somebody to his house, so to make his parents aware of, this is what your child is thinking, even if you were not aware. Because you could be honest and say, well, maybe they were not aware.
About your child. Okay. I get that.
You don't know everything. No, you do not. You don't know everything. So they made the parents aware of something that their son had been doing, even though the son denied that this is what he was doing when he was 13. Did that make the parents say, well, wait a minute, maybe I should lock our guns up now because of this because he's threatened to do this? I mean, even because a lot of us want to protect our child. And so when the police first came, maybe you was quick to defend your child and say, I'm just going, no matter what, I'm defending my son. Well, did that not make you stop and think after that, I should be locking the guns up now? That I should not just leave them readily available for him to be able to get to? Because they actually came to our house and they told us that this was something that he was putting out on the internet.
And they got proof. Yeah. How do police know before you know?
Okay,
because you're not paying attention.
Okay, but that's all right though. It does. I'm not upset that the parent didn't know before the police came to their house. I'm saying to you, after the police came to your house and made you aware, because do I know every single thing that somebody is typing up to put out on the internet? No, I do not. And I'm not trying to pretend like here I'm gonna sit and say every single parent better know every single thing that their child type up, send out, That's not possible to know everything. But if you are made aware of it, because somebody came to your house and said, wait a minute, we're telling you this is what is coming out on his email. You are aware now of something that you were not aware of before. And we can't know everything because if that was the case, would nobody make mistakes, or we would all make mistakes because we think we know everything. The fact that once the parents were informed about what their son was thinking, all they did was just move him from one school district to the next. Why didn't you take the second step and lock up the guns? Or start paying attention to what he was saying.
Thinking that you go to the next county. No, his mindset has not changed. You know.
Okay, but you were changing his environment. You were
changing his environment. But it would seem like to me
you didn't.
The kid would think, oh, well, I could keep going with this. He's just going to move me to another county. I'll just go to another school, and maybe that's why I'll do it. And he did nothing. He did not do a
we don't know what he did. See that's
well,
part
obviously
of this
he didn't do enough because his son got access to an assault rifle and killed 4 people.
But we need to find out what he did and did not do to parents, because this will help other parents. See, if you don't know as a parent, okay, what this parents did or did not do, because now your son could be having the same kind of behavior, exhibiting the same kind of actions. But now if you hear what these parents did or did not do, maybe that will enlighten you, so your child won't make the same mistake that child made. We have to learn from this and say, okay, now tell me what you as a parent, what was you doing or not doing?
That's what I'm asking.
What did you do?
That's what I'm asking at the top of the hour. What are we missing? When I say we, I mean the adults that are supposed to be in the room, the people who are supposed to be adults. When we see things like this happening, what do we need to do to bridge that gap and close our village tighter? So we're looking out for our children. We can see the signs. We can help them get some help. We can help you get some help.
But once again,
everybody still act like, all of this doesn't have anything to do with people's mental health, and you act like kids.
But it does.
Kids got so much angst, especially when you teenagers. What do they call it? Our formative years, where you're forming an opinion, where you're forming your reasoning, where you're forming what your thoughts are going to be, where you're forming, well, do I want to go to church? Do I have to go to temple because they say so? Do I have to go to the mosque because they tell me?
Yes.
When do I make the decision?
Okay, but once again, though, as a child, women, now we can't sit back here and pretend like, okay, the child make all the decisions about what they want to do. No. That's why you're a parent. You can't sit back and pretend like, okay, I'll let them figure it all out.
Figure it out.
Your job as a parent is to help guide them. Okay, if I got the police to come to our home a year earlier, came to our home and informed us,
telling you this could be a serious issue.
And then your biggest thing that we know of to this point, because we don't know everything, but to this point, what we know is that they moved him from one county to the next. So did they start monitoring their son more? We haven't heard that enough. We haven't heard, okay, why didn't you lock up your guns? If you know that your son was thinking about a mass shooting, me just caring about my child, I would be saying, oh, every gun in the house gonna be locked up, or it would be no guns in the house. If I even heard that my son or my daughter was thinking this way. Because yes, you can say I should have known, but I didn't know. But once I did know, what step did I take after that?
To change.
And what did I do to change the behavior? What did me as the parent, what did I do particularly? I mean, it's like in Michigan, they end up suing the parents, but behind a shooting that happened in Michigan, because they were saying that the parents bear responsibility.
Right.
And the parents were saying, well, why are you trying to hold us responsible for what our child did? Well, now, once
this is
again,
your child.
It's your child. Do you pay attention to your child? I mean, if your child's standoffish, if your child is outgoing. These are things that you as a parent do know about your child. If your child is somebody who sticks to themselves or always thinking of gloom and doom, then you know that. So it's not like you don't know that. You could say that, oh, they'll grow out of it. I hope they grow out of it. I hope this is only a phase.
Give them a talent. They'll just sit down. Let them keep enough of their attention. I don't need to be. Don't bother me. I was listening to this
Well, so then that's you not
they
paying
have this
attention, right?
they have this program.
Hmm.
I know it's here in California called First Five, and the first
Yeah,
5 years, I said this earlier, the first 5 years of a child's life is
yes, the
that's
critical
when they're
part.
sucking it up like a sponge, and they're learning, and then when they go through their teens, and they go into prepubescent, and then you go through your puberty, and then you got to go through being a teenager. I mean, these are different stages, and you have to pay attention to them. Listen to what they're listening to on the music. I remember we was at a family soiree. I didn't know nothing about the song. I didn't know anything about the artist, anything. And so they playing a song, and I can't call it Lil Nas X, I think it is. He said, "I'm gonna ride my horse to the old town, something, something, something." And the kids were
Okay.
singing that, and I go, "Oh, that's got a nice little beat. Let me hear what's the word." They go, "We don't know what the words are." But they was all singing the song. So then when I'm listening to the song, and I'm like, okay, well, that's what y'all want to listen to. We don't have that. You got to listen to what we listening to in the car. That's why our grandkids, they
Okay,
like
but then
R&B.
think about wait a minute, but think about this. See, when you're talking about, do you want to know what's going on in your child's life? If you never listen to what they're listening to, if you never watch what they watch on television, then how can you honestly say that you know what's going on in your child's life? If you demand that whenever you're around your kids and y'all all together, that they look at programs only that you like, that you only listen to music only that you like as their parent, then you're not being in tune or in touch with your child on what they're like and what they're listening to and what they're watching. I've told you that many times. I've sat back with our grandkids and say, "You control the remote control. Let me
Right.
see what you want to watch." I'm not sitting back here telling you what I want to watch because I already know what I want to watch. I want to know where your mind is going. What thoughts are being developed in your mind by what
Mhm.
you're watching. So if I
And
allow you
listening
to
to and the
control it,
people that you're around and your
so if
surroundings.
you
I
listen
mean,
to,
when you're
if
in a
you
toxic,
allow,
when kids are anybody that's in a toxic environment.
toxic relationship,
Yeah,
yeah,
any mother and father, you could
yes.
be all the things that you want to be to your kids, and then your kids watching their daddy beat their mama down, or they watching their mother poison their father, or they locking the kids up so they can go on vacation for 10 days. That's a real story. Google it. The lady went on vacation and left her two babies by themselves.
And thank God that was just one
Somebody found it.
out of millions, because the majority of us would not do that.
Would
That's what I'm
not do
saying.
that, and I
You
get
know,
that.
so
But
we
it
need
seems
to
like the
work.
more people are starting to do that, because when you think about that, more people, they having these babies, they having these kids, and they really don't want to have the responsibility. I mean,
Okay, but so
we
once
gotta
again,
think
though,
if you have a baby and you don't want the baby, you could take the baby to a firehouse to is that what they call it? A fire
yeah, to the
station,
firehouse, yeah,
put the
and
baby
drop
in the
them off.
chute, put the baby in the chute like you do bulk mail. We got people leaving babies on the people's. Just the other day, it was a couple. I, I, I just saw it was a couple, and so they heard some crying outside their door. Come to find, they found two abandoned children at their doorstep.
Thank you, Jesus. That
That
they
he
thought
went
enough
out
to
there
take
and
them.
got those kids, and,
Thank you,
and
Lord.
one of them was an arm baby. The baby can't even
But
walk, and you would
but they
leave your
thought enough.
child.
They thought enough to give them to somebody else and not just throw them away. I mean, we got to look at what's positive on that too, though. Okay, they couldn't handle it. So I mean, no, you may
You
not agree
can't handle it.
on
Don't
how they
have them.
did. Okay, first of all, it's a lot easier said than done, because 90,
Right.
not 90%, but 40% of the people that are born in the world were born because they weren't planning to be here. Because their parents, if you get together with somebody else, there's a chance that you can make a baby. Okay, so every time you get together with somebody, you're not gonna make a baby. So the time that it did happen does not make you automatically become a parent. If you don't want to be a parent, there are things that you can do. There's nothing wrong with adoption. It's, to me, it's a selfish act. If you know that you're not fit or prepared to take care of a child, then let somebody else do it. Don't just sit back here and throw the kid out like they're trash, like I don't care, or I'm not going to be a responsible parent. If you don't want the child, let somebody else have a chance to raise that person to be a responsible person in society.
Now, see, when we was growing up, and I'm a boomer, we're baby boomers, And you didn't just leave your kids. We just absorbed them in the village. You know, a lot of people would be young. They would be hiding pregnancies. And I remember it was so strange. It was so strange where we grew up before they built the projects where we lived. It was a monastery. No, what do they call the nuns?
Monastery.
A convent. It was a convent.
Yeah.
And when they were digging up the ground, to lay the foundation, up under the convent, they found baby bones. Where these nuns were having, I know, look, this one Immaculate Conception that I heard of, and they found baby bones up under the foundation. I mean, they stuck that under the rug, up under the bottom of the house. Didn't even tell people. We didn't find out until I didn't find out until I was like in college.
But that was a horrible thing to happen. It was horrible that it happened.
They got the nuns are out there. Listen, if you don't want to have kids, I glory in your stuff. Don't have them, Mr. Kennedy. This went by so fast, and I ain't gonna even say I'm sorry for breaking down because I'm not. My heart.